across the World Wide Web, on your mobile devices, on social media platforms. This is Jambo Radio! www.jamboradio.co.uk. We are multilingual. We are conversational in the languages you best understand. We are Jambo Radio! Jambo Radio, inspiring transformation.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Moments with Sade and Enoch. My name is Enoch and I'm here today with the wonderful Favour, who will be sharing with us our journey around, coming into the UK, starting her career, the challenges she's faced, and sort of the successes she's had. I've known Favour for about 6 months, coming to a year now, give or take. So I know some of that journey. So I'm excited to chat to her, to dig deeper into some of that, and then learn some of that. Immigrants coming to the UK, especially immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean, or black immigrants coming to the UK with lots of experiences, have challenges starting their career, and we don't know what the exact issue is. I think we know some of it.
Okay.
but we are coming with that mindset, and I guess Favour, you came with that mindset of whatever the challenge is, I'm going to overcome that challenge and try and get what I want. Right. So there's that mindset of that winning mindset. We're just chatting earlier before we went live about my son and his desire to win at such a young age, and I think that's the mentality a lot of immigrants come in, because
absolutely,
you migrate for a reason. Most people migrate for a reason. They migrate for economic reasons. So you already have a mindset that the home, or the natives don't
residents
have.
Here,
yep, because you're coming with a mindset of give me 10 challenges, I'll try and overcome it to get to where I want to get to. So hopefully you share some of your journey with us. I look forward to learning from it. You can join us. You can call us on 0141 530 2787. Send us a text, a WhatsApp on 0745 990 6822. Can reach us on Facebook. We're on Jambo Radio Scotland. On Twitter, we are jamboradio.1. If that's not enough, on IG, we're on jamboradio.scotland. And you can send us an email at info@jamboradio.co.uk. So, to you, Favour, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And in a few words, 30 seconds to be precise, can you tell us who Favour is without telling us what you do for work?
Without saying what I do for work?
Yes.
Interesting. Because I'll always go, I'm an HR professional. Well, okay. Well, Favour is...
Can you hear me?
Favour is a nice lady.
There's still something playing in my ear.
Okay, so Favour is a nice lady. I would say that Favour is one who thinks, she has something to say.
That's the first one. You said Favour is a nice lady. You're the first person to describe themselves as nice. Let me be the judge of that.
Okay.
After 55 minutes of chatting, I will decide if you're a nice lady or not. Okay, so nice lady, you've got something to add?
To share,
okay.
Yeah, and... Well, that's it. Something I feel like a lot of people need to hear, especially a lot of people who have, gotten the opportunity to relocate to the UK. So I guess maybe that is something we're going to talk about along the way.
Okay, fantastic. So nice lady, lots to share. Okay, which we'll find out about nice lady later, but you definitely have lots to share. So let's dive into that. So your name is Favour Okoro. I'm always interested in names, right? So Favour, I think we know that that's an English word.
Name, yes.
Favour, yes. And then Okoro, what does Okoro mean? Where does the name come from?
Wow. I hope I don't disgrace my father, but... Well, okay, so firstly, he is from Ebonyi State, Ebonyi State in Nigeria. And I think when I asked him this question, he said Okoro is like a short form of Okorobia. So it's like saying young men. So men of valor and stuff like that. Yeah. So strong men like that can go out to war and all of that is all I can say.
Interesting.
Just so I don't disgrace him.
Interesting. Okorobia. Okay. So I'm probably ignorant now. I thought Okoro was an Igbo word.
Yes, an Igbo word, yeah.
Okay, so Ebonyi Igbo people.
Yes.
Oh, jeez,
Oh my God.
Oh, well.
This is
Well.
this is a big controversy already. So let's not go there.
Because I thought Boeing was one of those sort of south
Not
type.
at all.
Okay, so
Not
you are
we
Igbo.
are Eastern.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, true and true. Okay,
Yes.
and you speak the Igbo language as well.
Not exactly.
Okay. So
Not
you didn't grow
fluently.
up. You didn't grow up where your parents are from. You didn't grow up in a Boeing state.
Well, no, I didn't grow up in Ebonyi State, but I grew up in Port Harcourt, and that's where my mom is from.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Port
Yeah.
Harcourt, fantastic. Okay, lovely. So you grew up in Port Harcourt, born in Port Harcourt.
Yes.
Born in Port Harcourt, grew up in Port Harcourt. So
Yes.
Port Harcourt is a city in Nigeria.
Yes, in River State.
In River State.
Yes.
What's it known for? Is it oil?
100%. Yes, I believe that's why the likes of Shell came there a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm just trying to paint a picture for those listening to this, but who haven't been to Nigeria.
Oh, good.
So it's a very cosmopolitan city. Lots of money flowing through there, through oil money and all that. So that was where you grew up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you went to school there?
Yes, I did.
Secondary?
Yes. Primary, secondary, yes.
University?
And even though I went to Madonna, that is not in Port Harcourt, but it's in River State still.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Madonna. Is that owned by Madonna, the singer?
No.
Okay. So what was that?
It is owned by Father Ede.
No way. Okay, what's the connection then between Father Ede and naming the school Madonna?
I have no idea. I probably
Is
need
Madonna
to
like a
Google that.
saint or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I never
There's
asked.
a lot, you know.
I just went to school and studied biochemistry.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I'm beginning to have a more inquisitive mind, right? And it's because of there's a friend I have chosen, and there's a phrase he uses which I love. He's always his phrase is, "What's the why?"
Okay.
So with Madonna, you're like, "What's the why? Why Madonna?"
Yeah.
And then it gets you thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to Madonna, finished, and what did you study while you were
Biochemistry.
there? Okay,
Yeah.
biochemistry.
Yeah.
Okay, I well done.
Thank you.
It's funny. I always find people that study science-esque stuff. I
Yeah.
just find them brilliant
Okay.
because I struggled heavily with biology. You know how we are forced to take biology as part of
And chemistry and
secondary school.
physics.
No, we're not forced to do chemistry because I was not in science class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we're forced. Biology is for everyone, no matter what
Okay.
class you are. I don't know, maybe
okay.
they've changed it in your time. I think we're from
Fair.
different generations.
Yeah.
I'm an older
Now
man.
I feel very young.
Yeah.
Good for
In
me.
my generation, biology, everyone takes biology.
Okay.
Yep. It's
I
like
think so. Yeah.
yeah, it's still,
Yeah.
still the case. So
Yeah.
I was forced to take biology, and I struggled with it. However, give me the economics and the bookkeeping and the accounting. I was flying through. That was my happy place. Mathematics, flying. So whenever I see people that have studied all these biochemistry, physics, medicine, I just always go, wow, well done. Okay, so you studied
Nice.
biochemistry.
Yeah.
What was the plan? What was the desired outcome when you were studying that? Were you wanting to work in a lab or?
Okay. So sincerely, the different things I had in mind was, well, lab, yes. And this funny saying where, so you would speak to your lecturers and you're like, so this thing I'm studying, where am I going to use it? And they'll say, you can walk anywhere. I used to hear that. But after a while, after doing some
so even
search
before,
myself.
even before studying it,
Yeah.
what was your thinking? So for me, when I was going to study accounting, I was like, I'll study accounting, I'll become an accountant. It was logical. So did you not have that thinking before even going to decide to study biochemistry?
Should I tell you the truth?
Listen, what else can you tell me? This is a radio show.
Not exactly.
No?
Not exactly. The
Okay.
funny thing, oh God help me, my dad. So
He's not listening, don't worry.
Yeah. I was telling my husband the other day, do you know what my dad wanted me to do? And he said, what? He just wanted me to be a teacher. And that was it, because he felt like they always had a job. And I won't blame him. I'm thinking, this has come from his experience, his his generation as well. And yeah, he wanted me to do that. But I was in school and I had this teacher who was so brilliant. I wondered how I could come to him with the most random question and he knew the solution to it without having to look at the textbook. So I thought, I really want to be as smart as this man. So don't ask me his name because I can't even remember now. Funny enough, but he was amazing. And then I thought, you know what, I have to study biochemistry because he studied biochemistry. That was the reason. Yeah. Okay. So I just went for the fun of it. And
on the basis of you will end up becoming a teacher?
Not primarily, but because I really liked how, so my dad wanted me to become a teacher, but even at that really young age, I didn't see it as a lucrative path. If you get what I mean.
There's more to life than money. There's more to life than money.
Make the money first and then say that. So I went to school, but so it was in between studying that, I started really thinking about my future, and after making some research, I saw that, I could work in a pharmaceutical company, and I saw that biochemists are part of the people who come up with like solutions to diseases and all of that. So I thought, okay, I could actually make a huge difference using what I've learned. But then again, I think this was part of your question. I got out of school, and that opportunity that I was thinking I would get to practice, I didn't get it. No, there were not too many organizations like that would give me the opportunity. Yes. In Nigeria.
Okay. Yeah. And were you just looking in the Port Harcourt area or nationwide?
Oh, to be fair, just so after studying, went for, what's it called now? National service.
Yeah, this is where in Nigeria, when you finish university, you serve your country for 1 year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I was in Lagos. So I would like to say that my search was wide.
Okay, even in Lagos, but
still didn't get anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what led on from there to you eventually finding yourself, in the UK from that point on? You take us through that journey.
Okay, so with the whole need to, I really wouldn't say make money. Of course, I wanted to make money, but then just make something out of my life. I started to look for other opportunities.
So still while in Lagos?
While in Lagos. Okay. And then I got a role as a business development officer. You know what? Funny enough, sorry, I'll take you back a little.
Yep, take us back.
In Port Harcourt, I was done serving, went back to Port Harcourt and got this job, but I didn't stop searching for one that was related to my course because I didn't want it to be a waste that I actually studied biochemistry. So I got a job as a business development officer at an oil and gas firm. Well, so not the producing firm, the firm that handles exactly. And it was not the most pleasant experience, and I'll tell you that it is crazy. So there are things I can't say, but it would surprise you.
Tell us what you can say. Tell us what you can say.
It would surprise you the length that people can go to get contracts.
Right.
Yes. And I
get what you
wasn't willing to go that length.
Right.
So I knew I had to save myself and save in capital letters. So I had to start looking for other opportunities. So you can imagine getting done with NYC and you're already a business development officer. So that felt really nice. But then knowing the price I had to pay, it went against everything, my personal belief and all of that. So I had to change. And I started looking for another job. It was so bad that I wanted anything else. And I got a role as, what do you call it now? An office manager. And I was so happy. So I was supposed to be in the front office, just receive guests, help manage, inventory. I mean, things that are used within the company, buy and just ensure that they're always there for when people who are working need them. And that was how I left that. And then from there on, caught an interest in HR, started working.
With the same company?
Still with the same company.
I guess once you start doing office manager, you're already looking after people to an extent. So naturally.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you naturally get there, and I started working with the HR manager at the time, a very small company, but still oil and gas, but in this sense, again, finance.
Okay.
Yes. And yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And that was how you ended up, I guess, leaning towards the HR space.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you left the previous role because of it clashed with your values.
Exactly.
So there's something there around, just staying true to your values. If it's not for you, it's not for you. And not doing something that you look back on with regret that maybe if I didn't do it, I would have still achieved what I wanted to achieve. So well done to you.
Thank you.
Went on to something else and you actually found, this is my happy place. I could do something here. So I guess there's something there around being flexible. All right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, that definitely hit something for me because at the time I was thinking biochemistry, no progress with that. Business development officer, I had to cut that and then made progress again to office manager. And I was thinking, is this really how I want to continue my life, jumping from one, career path to another? But yeah, challenging.
Fantastic. So I'm trying to link it to my story, but I'm finding the difficulty because my story has been I don't want to use the word straightforward. I would feel like I didn't have any hustle.
No changes.
No changes. So it's been, I wanted to be an accountant from a very early age. I can't remember when. I think I just realized that, these accountants people, they are respected in society. Yeah. They make enough money. Yeah, that works for me.
Fancy bag.
Yeah. That works for me. I mean, back in the days, right? Like that was what I saw in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes sense. And then naturally as well, good at mathematics. And as I said, when we were in secondary school, I realized I was good at business studies, economics. Was it bookkeeping they called it then? I think it was bookkeeping. I was like, okay. So, and then I've just sort of gone to, when I did my A-levels, it was accounting themed. Went to do my degree, accounting, and then worked as an accountant. I've been working as an accountant since then. I've delved into other things after that, but I'm still called an accountant. So I'm always fascinated when I meet people like you that have sort of delved into different things.
Oh my God.
Where you had a passion for something and then you have to leave that passion behind. So for me, I'm thinking, if the day comes when I don't get to do accounting again, how would that make me feel? Because in a way, that's part of my identity.
Yeah.
So I guess for you've not created much of an identity with the biochemistry at the point when you were living it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
In fact, it feels very weird to still have it sit in my CV, but on my CV. But I'm there. Like, I studied it.
Yeah, might as well keep it there. Yeah,
spent money.
You know the amazing thing, right? The amazing thing is that may be what an employer will see that will make them say, I want to speak with that girl. Yeah. Right? And I've heard stories of,
or even the opposite, to say I actually don't want to speak.
I don't want to speak with that girl. Yeah,
they're not serious in their career.
No. So let's focus on the positive one. Why don't speak? Like, so there was a guy.
Yeah.
He was sharing the story of how he got his job with this financial services company.
Okay.
And he said there was something on his CV. So something around. He wrote a phrase in his CV that sort of that has a connotation of a deep thinker. Because he studied, what do they call it? Is he not psychology, philosophy?
Okay.
So there was a line he put on his CV, and then the recruiting, and he was applying for a financial services role, right? Nothing to do with philosophy, but the person reviewing it also studied philosophy. So when that person saw that, he thought quickly there was an affinity with that CV. Okay, I like this person. Let's bring them in. Okay. And he said he went for the interview. They didn't talk about financial services. They talked about philosophy. No jokes for 1 hour. And of course, he got the job.
Interesting.
The person just loved the fact that I've got something in common with this person. Yeah. And this guy I'm talking about is black, is Nigerian, and the interviewer was white. So, but they had that thing in common. You may be surprised someone will see your CV and be like, oh, she studied biochemistry. I studied biochemistry as well. So maybe we can chat about that once in a while. So it's crazy, the things on your CV. So there's nothing is wasted.
Absolutely.
So there's no point in 100%. Hiding anything. Just put it there. It won't take anything away from you. So there's no downside, but there's a positive upside. There's a possible upside.
Yes.
But there's no downside. So leave it there.
Yeah.
Biochemistry, that shows your brilliance. Not everybody can study biochemistry.
Oh, no.
So that's the message that sense if you leave that on your CV. Okay, so office manager, you started veering towards HR.
Yes.
Okay, and then so how did that all happen? So sort of talk us through that. Did you have to apply for a role when it came up, or did you have to change your job title? How did that come to be?
Yes. So with time, because I had really gotten involved with all of the tasks regarding employees, at some point they had to promote me and then give me an HR title, and then I started working as an HR associate with the company. The only thing was that I felt it could be more. I thought, you know what, it's nice that we're doing all these things, but it felt like everything revolved around paying people, at the end of the year, send out an employee satisfaction survey, celebrate people on their birthdays. But I had gone ahead to do a training with, God help me to remember their name. I can't even remember their name. Well, it's a body in America, and I did my HR training with them first. So that just made me know that there's actually much more to this. So why are we making it feel like it's higher and fire?
Yeah, why did you decide to do that training or that study?
Oh, because it wouldn't make sense to just jump into the career without really knowing what is involved in it, So I thought I needed much more knowledge, and that was why I went for it. Plus, it wasn't just wholly my idea. The HR manager at the time advised me, and he was like, if you think this is something you really want to pursue, I would advise you to go for a professional certification for it. Yes. So I went ahead and took that.
Okay.
And it made a difference, because it really opened my eyes that, this is just beyond people coming into the office.
Yep.
There's much more you can do with them, humans. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So play us then from that point on to the point where you arrived in Scotland. Share that story with us, how that all came to be.
Okay, well, interestingly,
you didn't come on the small boat.
A lot of people were leaving.
Okay.
And
we're leaving Nigeria.
Okay. And I wouldn't lie to you. I would love to tell you a fancy story, a really, empathetic one, if that's the right word to use, that would make you feel like, oh, I see why you left. Or not even empathetic, maybe something that would really drive you to think,
drive a strong reason for, you have to leave.
But then that
don't.
really wasn't it. A lot of people were leaving, and it got myself and my partner thinking about the future.
Okay.
So what is happening? A lot of people are leaving jobs, they are relocating, and we looked at our finance as well, and we figured, you know what, we are earning this right now, and we're pretty much okay.
Comfortable.
But what will happen in the next 5 years from now? Let's say maybe they keep increasing the salary, but would it still serve us the same value as it's serving us now, as it continues to go? Because increasingly we could see cost of living going up.
So inflation was going up significantly.
Exactly. And that really put a scare. And funny thing, just within the time I was leaving, this is so odd to say, there were like 5 or 4 other colleagues who were leaving. And if you had spoken to each and every one of them, they had the exact same reason. So, amazing company, great pay. In fact, it got to the point where they were not just paying Naira, they were paying employees in dollars as well, because they thought maybe this is one way they can preserve, value. But then people still left. So it came to a point where the CEO had to understand that, you know what, this has gone beyond, well, I don't know if he came to that understanding, but then the HR manager tried to make him understand that this is not the company's problem anymore. This is a national issue. So it really doesn't matter how much you're willing to do for employees. They most likely will continue to leave
when the time is right.
Yes. So so that got me to up and leave. But that's not the only thing I must tell you. Maybe this is a part where it would feel like a strong reason
Make your case.
The whole thing about me thinking there was more to HR, you know, I kept saying I want to do more, and we're like, okay, so what is the thing you want to do? Well, I sincerely couldn't point it out because it felt like I didn't have the resources to actually get on them. And so I thought, you know what, maybe actually moving would help me build my career as much as I want to in HR, because it felt like I was just stagnant. So you know, where you're bearing the same title, you know, you're probably getting an increase in your salary every year, but then you're practically doing the same thing. Now, it's fun to get the increase in pay. It's fun to get a fancy job title, but I want to work, you know, and it might sound like this is what people want to hear, but I actually wanted to work. I wanted the whole HR thing to mean something, to mean that I'm actually working within a company, and then I'm making an impact, not just for the organization, so I mean the company itself, but then the employees that are working within the company. So I thought, you know, well, maybe this move will really make a difference for me, having to study HR in a higher level, so not just getting a certification. And yeah, that was part of my reason.
That's the reason. Okay. So you and your husband, partner decided it's time to leave Nigeria. And why Scotland, or why the UK?
Very, very easy answer. Oh, well, the UK, well, firstly, I would say that felt like the easiest path to take. That's one. Why Scotland? It's cheap. That I would give it to you straight. Yes.
So cost of living, right? Or,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing we were looking out for. I mean, we're coming out of a place where we thought, you know what, we at some point might not be able to afford every other thing that we would like to. So we didn't want to go straight from that back into it again. So we thought, you know, a place where we can afford everything we want and be comfortable as well.
So Scotland.
So that's why Scotland.
And by the time you're moving to Scotland, did you have a network already waiting for you? Maybe friends, family, or did you have at least some people you knew before landing?
Well, we knew people, but they were not in Scotland.
Okay.
They were in England.
Okay.
So it was very much, you know, exactly. We started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, fantastic. I like it. It's good. It's good to hear these stories, right? Because I mean, I've been in Scotland for
how long?
19 years.
No.
Yeah, I know. You're probably still in primary school.
I feel insulted, but yes.
I'm an old man, as I say. But,
wow.
So
okay.
yeah, and it's beautiful to see the change that has happened in that time, right? Where, like, I mean, I've put this out publicly. So my first night in Scotland when I arrived, I arrived in Stirling.
Okay.
So that was me coming straight from Liverpool. I don't know if you've been to Liverpool. Liverpool is a bubbling city, right? It's like bubbling. It's like lively. I've built a community. I've built friends and all that there. And then I had to just uproot myself. Boom, Stirling. Not even Glasgow or Edinburgh, Stirling. And I just go there. I thought, flip, man. Like, how did I end up here? And I cried that night. There was just that sense of loneliness. That sense of you're alone now.
Yeah.
You go again.
I work there now, so I can
you
completely agree with you.
You felt it, yeah, you felt it, and a lot of people don't appreciate that sense of, because by the time you're leaving Nigeria, and for me, by the time I was leaving Liverpool, you've built a life. You know, for you're already working, you had friends, you were going to church, your family was there, you know, you had everything was set. You could just continue that life, and now you uprooted yourself and just came to this, you know, no man's land, and then you have to sort of start again, start making new friends, But I guess, so you can share some of that with us. So you then arrived in Scotland. How long ago was this now?
Well, this was so early 2023, so February 2023.
So about 2 years ago.
Yes,
today.
pretty much.
This month. Okay, what date? Maybe it's today's
that
your
was
anniversary.
The 7th. No. I
So
was
just
a 7.
just 2 years, 2 weeks old.
Yes.
Give or take.
Fair.
Yep,
Yeah.
fantastic. So you arrived in Scotland just a week before before Valentine's. Was there still money to do Valentine's that year?
I didn't even know Valentine's held
Yeah,
that
you were just
year.
trying to survive.
Exactly.
You were just trying to survive.
Who Valentine help? Oh God! No, I mean, I'm thinking about it now. You're saying it. I had no idea that
You
time.
didn't realize, yeah, because you're just
Not at all.
like, okay, we're gonna find, we're gonna stay here. Okay,
I was
I
trying
know.
to stay warm.
I know. I know February as well.
Yes. Gosh.
So then came, I guess what was your reason for what brought you here? I know you came here, but on what basis did you come here? You came here to study.
Yes, to
right?
study. Yes.
HR related or
Yes.
biochemistry?
Oh no, HR.
HR,
So
okay.
International Human Resource Management.
That's
And
what my wife studied.
Oh,
And I always abuse her. I'm
nice.
like, yeah, international. Yeah, right.
Why?
Flipping it, man. They dash that thing out on the streets.
Oh my goodness. I mean, to be fair, it's
Is that GCU?
well, yes, Glasgow
Exactly the
Caledonian
same thing.
University. Oh, look at that. Okay, I mean, it's literally the same thing with their human resource management
Yeah.
course. I would say the main difference is the fact that they give a global view. You know,
Yeah.
so
Do you pay more?
you're thinking
Do you
HR
do you pay more than the normal
than the
HR?
other people. I can't tell. I never
Probably do.
asked.
It's packaged.
Probably.
You've been packaged. You've been packaged.
Well, now I have the certificate, so I'm fine. I'm fine.
Oh, I wish Sade was there so
Yeah.
she can join you and you guys can
Oh.
defend each other. But yeah, I mean that's not the only thing I abuse her for about the university. But let's not
Yeah.
abuse GCU. Let's leave it at that. And so came here, started your masters. I guess you're doing some part-time work at the same time.
Oh yes, I was.
Yeah. And when you came, what was your concept around? Yeah, I'll just finish my masters. I'll get a job. Was that the mindset, or did you know that things were going to be challenging?
Oh
what was
my
the
God.
mindset coming in?
So maybe I didn't have that much conversation with
Okay.
people, or should I say, people were not as truthful
Okay.
as they should be.
Okay.
So of course, nobody really told me, you know what, maybe I'm working with a bank right now and I'm doing my dream job. But people really sounded like they were fine, especially financially, you know. So coming in, I was hoping that at least because I already had an HR experience,
Yep.
that I will come in, get an HR role,
Boom.
you know, exactly, boom, you know, while I'm studying. So it's like I'm studying and I'm practicing all of this, but then it didn't go as
Reality
planned, you know.
check, yeah?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, we've all
So
been there.
after waiting for a long time, and there was this time I got just this one-time gig. I had to go for one racing event, and we had to serve alcohol.
yeah.
Oh my God. I could not believe it,
Yeah.
but there I was
yeah.
wearing the uniform
Yeah.
and serving alcohol. But then that passed, and after that I got a job with a hotel. I
Okay.
mean, I had to because we had rent to
Yes,
pay.
yes.
You know, so I got a job with a hotel.
So I mean,
and-
so
yeah,
the story there is sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
exactly.
All right, because sometimes I speak with people and they say, "Oh, I decided not to do that because this," and I'm like, "I feel you, but you have to pay your rent."
Exactly.
You know?
Yes.
So sometimes one needs to be pragmatic, you know, be values driven, be values based, but ultimately you need to pay your rent. You need to do some things to the point
Absolutely.
where sometimes I'm not saying diminish your value, but be flexible. I think maybe that's the word to use. Because genuinely, I speak to a lot of people because of my role and the things I do. And some conversations do baffle me where someone says, "Oh, I'm not doing that." So, for example, something like, "I'm not going to work for that company because they've not clearly stated on their websites that they are diversity driven." And I'm like,
Well, that won't pay your rent.
you know, like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
like, you got to be pragmatic as well,
Exactly.
because ultimately, but yeah, and it's the frustration is people like that, you can't then go and start telling them, "Oh, no, that's not important." We've got to like still be straight faced with them and say, yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, that makes sense. And maybe I should switch and just tell them, dude, are you stupid? I just break it down, but I don't know. I can't bring myself to go cold like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you had to do what you had to do. Got the job at the hotel. So I guess at this time you're still doing your masters.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're coming towards the end of your masters, how was the job search going, and how was the prospects looking for you?
Well, it was not looking great.
Okay.
I must tell you. I can't even count the number of, unfortunately, responses that I got, having to apply over and over again.
Did you track it?
Well, I did. Let me ask you something, Enoch. How can people tell how many jobs they've applied for?
So I did, because back in the days,
Hey, oh God. Making me feel young again. I'm young.
Before the Indeeds and Co came along,
you
just send their CV. It's email.
Okay.
So you see a job online. I mean, it was online. Jobs had started moving online then, so I'm not that old to the point where there was no online. So you say job online, but how to apply is send your CV to this email.
To the email address.
So there wasn't an online application platform.
Okay.
It's the really, really big companies that have an online
that.
application form.
Okay.
And even with that, you still get an email anyway, which is still the case where thank you for applying. But it's mostly CV. So what I did, laugh at me if you want.
Yeah.
After I went through that stage, so I tell people I did about 300 applications.
Yeah.
And I can say that because after I went through that stage of doing it and eventually coming out of it, and I think one day,
don't see what I'm thinking. Continue.
I was just like, how many jobs did I apply for? And I went back into my email.
Yeah.
Started counting.
Oh.
So it was that manual. So I mean, these days you can track these things using all these tools, but then
I thought you were going to say you just went to the search bar and put there unfortunately.
That would have been a good punchline. That would have been a good punchline.
as many
now
emails
you say
that
it, I think I'm gonna go search unfortunately
because
to see.
It just gives you maybe like 200 results, 50 results.
I don't know. I don't know if they used unfortunately then. Maybe then it was we're sorry to we regret to inform you. Maybe now they're so lazy they can't even type we regret to inform you. They just want unfortunately.
A straight on, template for anyone and for any role.
Yeah, so and that was how I sort of go a gauge of wow, I did that. And it's funny when I was looking at it, I was looking at the time when those CVs were going out. So you see 12:05 a.m. midnight, 1:05 a.m., 1:30 a.m. So I was just sort of bashing them out all night.
Yeah.
And then you see I stop. You can basically monitor my sleep and wake up pattern.
Yeah.
I go to sleep or do whatever, and then I start again, bang, 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 bang. And the funny thing is, I didn't get a job through any of those applications. My first job was actually through, God bless his soul, my late pastor. He just called me from Liverpool that day, and that's why I tell people, network, community, you can't underplay it,
Yeah.
I'd left Liverpool for a year at that point. He just called me, I guess a welfare check, like, hey, Enoch, how you doing? What's going on in Scotland? I was like, yeah, I finished my masters, smashing out job applications, but nothing is happening. And he said, oh, I know someone in Aberdeen. When he started speaking, I already switched off. I was like, there's no way Pastor can help me. Pastor is not in my line. I'm an accountant. But I just played along. I was like, I know someone like Aberdeen. He's a recruiter. Maybe he can. I was like, yeah, Pastor, give me his email. He gave me his email. I emailed that guy. I think I mailed him my CV.
Okay.
So he looked at my CV and he could tell this guy is an accounting finance type guy. So he called me. I was like, oh, Enoch, sorry. He's a Nigerian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a Nigerian. So he called and said, oh, Enoch, I've just seen your CV. Sorry, I don't recruit in your line. However, my colleague does.
Oh, okay.
So he sent my CV to his colleague.
Interesting, okay.
And then not too long after, I'll never forget, that was my first professional job.
Oh.
His colleague called me and said, Enoch, I've just seen your CV. Your CV matches the job I'm looking at right now. Do you want to go for the interview? Went for the interview, got my first job. After applying and applying and applying.
How long?
So this one I didn't apply. Well, I guess you could say I was headhunted.
Yeah.
And I went for the interview, and that was how I got my first professional job. And then once you get the first one, it doesn't get easier, but it gets easier because then you can say I've got UK experience, because that was the
Exactly.
challenge for me. Everybody was saying you don't have experience, you don't have UK experience, you don't have experience.
Exactly.
I mean, for me, it was even more pronounced because I actually did not have experience.
Okay.
So for you, maybe the challenge you're getting was you didn't have UK experience. For me,
Exactly.
I didn't have experience because I was just coming
Oh,
from uni.
yeah.
No work experience. I mean, I was doing part-time job, but I didn't have any professional work experience.
okay.
So they were just slaughtering me.
Yeah.
They were like, nah, no experience,
Oh
no experience.
my.
I'm like, well, one of you has got to give me freaking experience, you know. But thankfully,
you need to start somewhere.
yeah, and thankfully it was these guys that gave me the experience. It was
Yeah.
I will call their name because they
Oh.
gave me the opportunity. It was Scottish and Newcastle.
Oh.
Sorry, it's an alcohol company. Sorry, I know you're
No,
pastor
it's
and all
fine.
that.
It's fine.
Scottish and Newcastle. They are now part of the Enoch brand, and that was where I started as a
Oh,
financial analyst, and then
okay.
from then on it got easier
Okay.
to get the next one, until I eventually got on the graduate program with an
Okay.
asset management company, and then became qualified, and then the rest, as they say,
Lovely.
is history. So yeah,
Oh.
none of the 300 applications, none. So back to your story.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you this, it gets easier. You're gonna get to the point where you stop applying. I don't apply for jobs anymore. You know, they will come to you, they will reach out to you via email. I still got an email today promising me XXXXX amount and all this. And I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
man. I saw his first, so when I look at it, I'm like, life. And I always try to use that to encourage. I was still speaking to someone today
Okay.
that was really down from, looking for
Oh, the
opportunities. And I was
search.
like,
yeah.
I've been where you are. It's tough. I feel your pain, but you will come out of it, and you look back on these days and laugh
Yeah.
about it.
Mostly
But
you
I
just-
know
yeah.
it's tough. Like when
Yes.
you're there, like when I was there, then you're just dejected. You're like, at this point, I had a degree, I had a master's from the UK.
Like, doesn't it mean anything?
Nobody was interested,
Yeah.
and it was from really good universities. It was University of Liverpool, University of Stirling, and I still
Yeah.
didn't get anything. So
Interesting.
how did you get your first professional breakthrough then? How did that all happen?
Well, I mean, after all of the applying, for we had someone come to my church. So you already mentioned that I'm a pastor. I'm not a pastor. But so we had a career event in church, which I really appreciate, and then we had someone come around from BP UK. And
So BP UK is Black Professionals
Professionals United Kingdom.
Okay.
And then he spoke about the fact that they have internship opportunities, and funny thing, they pointed people out in church that knows about BP UK, but I looked at these people. I'm very close to one of them. Like,
They've not
why
told you
are
about
you
it?"
guys not saying anything?
Yeah.
This is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, we went past
Yeah.
that, and just going ahead. Thankfully, this exact same person that was like, "Why did you not say anything?" reached out to me to say, "There's this opportunity on BP UK. I think you should apply." So I went ahead. I applied, and I would tell you something. I really appreciate the fact that I'm going to say it as it is. So that already there is a challenge for people who are immigrants to get a job. But what would make it even difficult is for people who present themselves to make the process easy by giving you these opportunities to have bias themselves. It would just worsen things.
Okay.
So I love the fact that without anybody really knowing me, I was able to put my CV in there, apply. They reached out and they were like, you haven't registered. So I went ahead and registered. I followed the process. And then I was called in. So after the first selection, I was called into like a meeting to prep all of us. And that was very helpful for me because before now, it's been like, so my job as an office manager, which went into HR, that was like 3 years. I started that job in 2020. So you can imagine how long ago I had been through an interview process. So just doing that, it was really good to refresh my memory.
Yep.
And then I prepared even more. And then I went for this interview. And Enoch, one thing I would say is that it was with a company that you don't just walk by and get into, Edrington. I think it's fine to call their name. Went in there and it just felt like, where have you guys been all my life? BP UK. So I got that opportunity. But I would tell you that, I mean, before then, I feel like people don't even look at my CV. They just just I apply, and for some reason, I don't know if it's just a machine that goes through it, and then I get the unfortunately email, but that definitely made a difference for me. Yeah, it
fantastic.
did.
And the opportunity you got with Edrington, was that still in HR?
That was in HR.
HR.
Yes.
Okay, so that was your first HR role in the UK.
Very
And what was it like,
first.
since you've been wanting to do something different? What was it like compared to what you were doing in Nigeria?
So, I felt good that coming in, I wasn't totally
You're not coming in
ignorant.
fresh. Yeah, you're not green. Yeah.
So coming in, some things they talked about, I was already aware of it.
And then, of course, you had the International Human Resources
Exactly.
Management Certificate from the
Exactly
prestigious
that.
Glasgow Caledonian University.
So a lot of things. Oh gosh, your wife will listen to this. So having to go through all of the all the tasks that I had, and several things they were discussing, because this is a multinational company, it didn't feel alien to me, but it also gave me an opportunity to learn, because there were people with loads of experience, so I spent that time learning. And the thing I also really loved was that they involved me in literally everything they could think of. You name it. I think one of the things that I didn't go too much into was payroll, which I think is quite lucrative for HR professionals in the UK if they get the opportunity for it, But for other areas, 100%, they really involved me. Yeah,
fantastic. And your time with Edrington has ended. Are you still keeping the relationship warm with the people you met there?
I tell you the truth, Enoch. Not exactly.
Okay.
So a couple of these people I followed on LinkedIn. Every now and then they make posts I comment. Maybe someone has gotten a promotion. I congratulate them, but not so much as checking in. But I feel like it might also be a culture thing, because in Nigeria it's different. It's like when you work with people, it's like being their sibling.
Yeah, you become
for
friends.
some reason. Exactly.
Yeah.
You become friends just out of being
you spend the day
a
together.
colleague. Exactly.
Yeah, for years.
It's like going back to my house and spending time with my husband. I'm at work for how many hours with you? How many days in a week? So it's I think it's quite different here. People are just really focused on, I'm here to do my job. Oh, hi, I'm nice. I'm saying hi to you, and we work well together, and that's it. So so I think it's a culture thing, but I try as much as possible.
Yep. And that's one of the challenges folks face when they come here, that cultural barrier. And people do create those relationships. I've built relationship with people I've worked with that are not Nigerian, and we've taken a relationship outside work. So
nice.
I think it's give and take, right?
Okay.
If you're not giving the energy to become, I don't want to say friends, to take it deeper than just work colleague, then people won't put the energy as well. But if you put out the energy, maybe again, and those small things, right? Like, okay, we'll finish work today, guys. Let's go play pool. You go along. But if you're someone that, let's go play pool. Oh no, I'm going home. Okay, I've got festival, church festival on that day. Oh no, I can't do that.
Yes.
Straight away, they are thinking, this person is not my person, because how do you become friends is by finding similarities, common grounds.
Yeah.
So if the only common ground they have with you is work, then you can't be friends.
Yeah.
But if they're finding common grounds, like, okay, she loves going to the cinema. Oh, we can do cinema on Friday, especially if it's, so that's what I think.
Yeah.
So I think it works both ways.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's something for you to be aware of. This is like a coaching session. Yeah. You pay for this. Okay. So Edrington was an internship, a few months that ended, and then how did that open other opportunities for you, if I could use that word?
Okay, so to be sincere, after that I was getting, so it felt like a veil was removed.
So using biblical, since you're a biblical person, the floodgates opened.
It felt like a veil was removed. So it was like people could see me now, like in the flesh. So people could see me. When I do send my CV, it gets attention. But the thing is, I was going for interviews as well, and it really wasn't that easy, because then again, now it's not an internship. Now they're not interested in, my very cute moments at the hotel, or the things I did in Nigeria. They wanted me to tell them how I was able to work within teams here in the UK, so I had to make an effort. I had to seek for help. And then I met someone, within my church as well, an HR professional, someone that had transitioned into finance, funny enough, but still providing, how do I put it? Still being a consultant for firms back in Nigeria.
Smart move.
Exactly.
HR to finance. Smart move.
So she is still very much into the whole thing. Yeah. So I was like, I need your help. And we kept going over everything, That was when I found out that the way we recruit in Nigeria is very much different from the way recruitment is done in the United Kingdom. Of course, people have their biases. People would immediately create an impression of you just the moment you walk into the room. But what I did notice was here they follow like a process, So even though, like I said before, bias, that's not the main thing I'm trying to focus on. There's still a process that they try to follow. And I would say in Nigeria, they follow a process, but sometimes it's their intuition. Like they look at you and they're like, of course, they ask you questions. Yeah. They try to get a feel and they're like, will this person run my company down? Or do they look responsible? But here, it's a process. So I had to ensure that I was doing the right things. And we started going through the fact that, many of my responses would have to be in the star, model, and all of that. So I had to start refining everything that I had to say. Yeah. Going from there, that was really what got me to the point of getting my job.
Okay, and where are you now?
Okay, so I'm currently working. I'm currently working with Sterling Council. Okay. Yeah, so that's when you talk. That's why when you talked about Sterling, I was like, I know this. Yeah. Because I go to work there, and but I would say lovely organization. Yeah. Quite different, I must tell you. People
different to.
I wouldn't say anything. Well, they are happy people, and they are hard workers. Yep. And I don't know if it's because I'm working within the HRBP team, but it feels like everyone is so busy, everyone is so involved, everyone is trying to learn at every time, so great experience for me.
Okay, fantastic.
Great experience for me,
and I guess with a place like that, a lot of people that go into work at those kind of places like councils and whatnot, tend to stay? Is that the case? Is that what you're finding?
So, well, the council is somewhere where you would find people who have been there 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
20
so like
years.
Lifers.
Exactly.
Like they started working there when they were 16.
Exactly. And it works for many people, but to be fair, I wouldn't jump into that conclusion. Because working at Edinburgh, I saw people like that as well. So I think it might also be a cultural thing within the UK.
Maybe, yeah. Once they find a happy place, they're like,
exactly. We just stay there. Like, why move? Why apply for jobs?
Fantastic. So, starting out as a biochemistry student, graduating as a biochemist, tried that out, didn't work out, moved into office management. Found yourself leaning towards HR, realizing, okay, this is what I want to do. And then on the back of that, coming to the UK to do a master's degree in HR to understand the theory side of it.
Exactly.
Because you can understand practical, but sometimes you do need the theory because you will be not tested on it. Conversations will happen that they will need you to know what they're talking about. Yeah. So, and I think that, and there's something a friend of mine says, Dami Aliu, he says, competence breeds confidence. Have you heard that before?
Yes.
Yeah. So, if you're very competent, it boosts your confidence.
Absolutely.
Because you can go in there and like, I know what I'm talking about. So, and I guess that you doing that master's gave you that extra bit of competence, which then boosted your confidence. Yeah. And hopefully that got you to where you are today, and hopefully that will continue to push you on your journey to growing with Sterling City Council or whatever it is you want to do in your HR career. So there's a tradition we have here at the studio or on this show where we get a current host to give the next, a current guest to give the next guest an advice,
No.
a piece of advice.
Okay.
Yep. And the last guest is
okay.
and without knowing who the next guest is, so
Okay.
just you give an advice. The last guest, his advice is just start. Yep.
Okay.
So you don't need all the tools to start. Start
Okay.
with what you have.
Okay.
Using, let me use biblical references.
Uh-huh.
A woman of God. That thing where God told Moses, "What's in your hands?" I love it. I love that phrase, and I use it a lot. Like, start with what you have. Don't try and look for something else. What's in your hands? What's in your pocket? What's in your house? What's in your car? Start with that. Then take it from there. So that was his advice. Start where you are.
Okay.
So what's your advice for our next guest?
Very interesting. Well, my advice is going to take an HR perspective.
Okay, and
Yes.
it has to be done in 30 seconds.
Okay, so my advice is you're in a new country. I don't know if you've been here for a long time or a short time, but then things are different. There are laws that are backing you. There are laws that are here to support you, such as, the employment law at your workplace. So don't be afraid to take your annual leave. Don't be afraid to take a sick leave. There are processes for all of that reason. Don't be afraid to request for reasonable adjustment, because all of these are there for your, how do I put it? For you as a human.
As a human and as an employee.
Exactly.
So what advice do you have for someone who is not new-ish to the country? What if the next guest is not new to the country?
Well, tell the truth to people who
Yep.
are new. Let them know exactly how it is. We can see your fancy car and that you're visiting, different countries, but
Yep.
tell them what the beginning is like and be very
Fantastic.
realistic.
Tell the truth to people about your journey.
Yeah.
Yep. Just as you have today.
Exactly.
And thank you very much. And we'll share that with our next guest. Hopefully, it will be something relevant to where they are on their journey. And hopefully the last advice was relevant to you as well. Thank you very much for taking time out, because you traveled from, are you Edinburgh based or Glasgow based?
I had to come from work.
Work.
So from
But you're Glasgow
Stirling,
based.
yeah.
Okay,
from
so
Glasgow.
you didn't have to travel from coast to coast.
No,
So
no.
thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And
My
that's
pleasure.
everything we have on the show today. Join us next week as we continue to speak to inspirational individuals who want to share their story and inspire myself and those of you that are listening to us and been following us on this journey. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank
Bye-bye
you.
now.
Bye.
Bye.